Let me underscore that those who claim that our transatlantic partnership is unraveling, or in fact those who hope that it might unravel, could not be more wrong. They forget, or they never understood, why we came together in the first place. Not to just sail along in the best of times, but to have each other's backs when the times are tough. They forget as well that the ties that bind us are not some kind of fragile strings of momentary convenience. They are rugged, time-tested cords of democratic values: liberty, decency, justice, rule of law. And nowhere is that more clear than in our joint, unwavering support for a democratic Ukraine. Our European partners, you, deserve enormous credit for showing the resolve you have shown and the common purpose you have summoned in order to stand up to Russia's repeated aggression. And I am confident that Europe and the United States are going to continue to stand united, both in sustaining sanctions for as long as they are necessary and in providing needed assistance to Ukraine until the sovereignty and integrity of Ukraine is protected through the full implementation of the Minsk agreement. Now, again and again, we have made it clear, and I make it clear again here today, sanctions are not an end unto themselves. Witness what we succeeded in doing in the context of the Iran nuclear agreement. But we shouldn't forget why they were imposed in the first place: to stand up for Ukraine's fundamental rights, rights of international norms that have been accepted ever since World War II, that were part of what that great battle was about. Russia has a simple choice: fully implement Minsk or continue to face economically damaging sanctions. And the path to sanctions relief is clear: withdraw weapons and troops from the Donbass, ensure that all Ukrainian hostages are returned, allow full humanitarian access to occupied territories, which, by the way, is required by international law and by several United Nations resolutions, support free, fair, and internationally monitored elections in the Donbass under Ukrainian law, and restore Ukraine's control of its side of the international border, which belongs to it. Put plainly, Russia can prove by its actions that it will respect Ukraine's sovereignty just as it insists on respect for its own. By the same token, after 2 difficult years, Ukrainians still have work to do as well. And President Poroshenko, who is here, knows that and accepts that. Neither the people of Ukraine nor their partners in the international community believe that enough has happened in Ukraine either. Ukraine has responsibilities with respect to Minsk, and it's critical that Kiev upholds its end of the bargain. But Ukraine's democratic potential is clearly far brighter today than it was when we met here several years ago. Far brighter even than it was before the brave protests in the Maidan. And with our transatlantic support, 2016 has all the potential possible, all the groundwork laid through the good work of Germany and France in the Normandy format and through the support of other countries, to be able to make 2016 the year that Ukraine proves reform can triumph over corruption. And we call on all of the country's elected leaders to demonstrate the unity, the integrity, and the courage that their people are demanding. Now, in addition to our joint focus on Ukraine, the United States has significantly upgraded our commitment to European security with a planned 4-fold increase in our spending on the European Reassurance Initiative, from just under $790 million to $3.4 billion. This will allow us to maintain a division's worth of equipment in Europe and an additional combat brigade in Central and Eastern Europe, making our support and NATO's more visible and more tangible. Meanwhile, and I think everybody here knows this, that's not the only way we have to approach the challenge of what is happening in Europe and in the rest of the world, of failed and failing states, of millions of young people in countries where they don't have hope, and they don't have food, and they don't have a job, and they don't have education, and they don't have a future. And if we leave that unattended to, then we are simply turning our backs on what we know is a responsibility for how we are going to stem the tide of violent extremism. So we will continue